Ladies and gentlemen, whether you are obsessed with grammar or not, well, I have kept my picture on the screen so that you don't leave anything to imagination about how I look, how old I am, and what I do. Now, the question put forward before us is very tricky. A lot of ink and grey matter have been spent on this. Almost everyone associated with English language teaching has at one time or another thought about it. Now, my experience in the last 2 decades says that it doesn't matter whether you answer yes or no. You can always justify your choice because we have different boards, different study materials, different patterns of examination, and so on. Apart from that, even the term grammar means different things to different people. Anyway, if you ask my answer, it is I wish we were. Friends, you are attending this webinar because you are professionally active. You want to develop your teaching competence. You are ready to learn from others. In short, you are obsessed with continuing professional development. But I am sure you will agree with me that there are tens and thousands of teachers out there who are not obsessed with any aspect of English, forget about grammar, and that's a pity. Anyway, let me go to the next slide and discuss it further. I want to give you some food for thought, some points to ponder. You will agree with me that these days, everyone in our field is obsessed with communication, communication, communication. But my question is, can one communicate effectively with poor grammar? And the answer is a big no. Without proper grammar, all communication is just verbal garbage. You must have met many people who throw their language as a challenge. It strains your every nerve to understand what they want to convey. Another question is, should bread and butter communication be the goal of teaching of English in India? And again, the answer should be a big no. I sympathize with those teachers who are happy with such a low, hello, how are you, I am fine goal of teaching. And I feel pity for their students. To my mind, we need to equip our learners for all kinds of situations and levels. Let's see some more points in the next slide. Is sentence grammar enough? Friends, Scott Thornberry, who won a British Council Elton Award for Innovation in ELT in 2010, made a loud and clear statement based on his years of research. Words have grammar. That is to say, when you use a word, you are obliged to choose from the particular grammar patterns associated with that word. For instance, if you use a verb enjoy, then after that you have limited choices. You can use a noun, for example, I enjoy meetings. You can use a pronoun, for example, I enjoy them. Or you can use an ing form of a verb, I enjoy attending meetings. But you cannot say enjoy to attend the meetings. Now this has nothing to do with our traditional sentence grammar, which consists of tenses, voice, direct, indirect, etc. Another question is, can a teacher with a poor command of English teach grammar? The answer is a big no. The simple truth is that you can't teach what you can't use. The next question is, can a teacher with a poor command of grammar teach English? And again, the answer is a big no, because our students are non-native learners of English. They will require some explicit information about how language behaves. They do not have as much exposure to English as native speakers of English have. Now let's go to the next slide and see what the current situation is. One of the biggest problems we face today is teachers' poor command of English. You can teach maths in poor English, you can teach perhaps science in poor English, but you cannot teach English in poor English. Another common problem is that in many schools and colleges, grammar is taught in isolation. I don't think it helps much. Moreover, the exercises often contain isolated and at times un-English sentences. Very often we find that teachers focus on form alone and not on meaning and use. Another problem I have noticed is poor selection of topics. Very often, some important topics are neglected or cursorily treated. The last point here is poor testing. And because of this poor testing and its washback effect, it actually kills or inhibits language learning. Now what's the solution? As Dr. Saraswati mentioned, grammar should be seen as a tool for communication and not an end. Grammar actually helps one communicate clearly and effectively. Grammar should be taught with other skills such as listening, speaking, reading, writing, vocabulary and pronunciation. Research has shown us that inductive teaching of grammar is more fruitful than deductive. That means we have to present authentic or real life chunk of language and let learners frame rules on their own. Last but not least, integrated testing will solve many problems that we face in ELT. In the next slide, let's see some examples of language use. I believe that only those teachers who are obsessed with grammar will be able to help learners overcome such problems. The first sentence is, according to me, it's easy. Now we know that it is not related to tense grammar or sentence grammar, but actually here the choice of phrase is not acceptable. According to is used for others' opinions. So in case of according to me, we should use to my mind or in my opinion. Similarly, in the next sentence, we can see that in place of forgot, we should use left. I left my book at home yesterday. In the third sentence, it's more related to reading competence. You can see that the last word, every day, should be written as 2 words, every day. And the next sentence is very important because this is one area which is not touched in many grammar books, and that area is collocation. So the sentence should be, I made a mistake yesterday, because do and mistake do not collocate with each other. Now again, this is not related to sentence grammar, but it is word grammar. And the last sentence is good at English, not in English. So such problems can be overcome only if teachers themselves are obsessed with grammar. So finally, I urge all teachers of English to be obsessed with grammar, and not just grammar, all the other aspects of English. We can never study enough as a non-native teacher of English. Thank you.